Good morning and welcome to our study, The Excellent Path to Enlightenment by Kyabje Dilgo Khyentse Rinpoche. Guru Yoga is the culmination really of the preliminary practices. And like I said last time, Guru Yoga is the red thread that runs through the entire Vajrayana. So presently in our study then we've reached the practice of Guru Yoga. So kindly generate the intention to apply this with an awareness of the larger community of all sentient beings, with the intention to not go into a personal space of peace, but rather understanding that enlightenment could never be going into a personal space of peace. And the very nature of enlightenment is the intention to establish all sentient beings at the level of enlightenment. So there we would say a Buddha possesses two qualities. One is to know reality as it is, and also to know how its experience in its variety, how sentient beings experience their individual reality. So in this way, at the level of enlightenment, there's no longer this obscuration that comes from being out of touch, disconnected from reality. So with the path, we are curing ourselves from this delusional condition, and we do this with an awareness of all the suffering there is in the universe and the wish to alleviate it. There's a common misunderstanding, or there's a common assumption that doing something for others has to do with actions. And indeed, yes, of course, that's right. But as long as we haven't removed the very cause of suffering and the very cause of confusion, which is this delusional condition of our mind, this belief in a self, this belief in the dualistic perception of self and other, as long as we have that, then anything we do hasn't really gotten to the bottom of why sentient beings suffer. So as long as we haven't done that, we're a bit like the blind leading the blind. So the practice of the path is getting to the bottom of why there is suffering in this universe. So we're never ever practicing the path as a personal project or something that's antisocial, or that we're not participating in the world. It's very much participating in the world, but it's being very practical. It's going down to where actually the pain originates, not just a patch job, which very often, or with inevitably, other actions will be. So, with that intention of bodhicitta, then we shall look at then the heart of the Vajrayana path, which is then the practice of Guru Yoga. So when we're doing the Guru Yoga practice, this is pretty much the visualization according to the ngöndro, known as the Excellent Path to Enlightenment, Chanchu Blamsang. But at the same time, this is really every ngöndro has their own particular visualization. In the Lapo Tuktik, you visualize yourself as Yangdak Heruka and Guru Rinpoche above, and in some Guru Yogas you visualize Yeshe Tsogyal standing, and so forth. There's many different ways of doing this. In some Guru Yogas, oneself as Vajrasattva, and so forth. So in this present Guru Yoga, the visualization is like this, dancing Vajrayogini with Guru Rinpoche on the top. But of course, the individual ngöndros have their own particular visualization. So I think we mentioned last time how the the premise of the Guru Yoga is to arrive at that which lies beyond the ordinary conceptual mind, the realization of the co-emergent wisdom, and we presently completed then the aspects of the path that have to do with creating the conditions for this. So for us to connect with this, we're going into a realm that is beyond rationality, and so we are we're looking to the Guru as someone who possesses the qualities of enlightenment and embodies enlightenment. And the way that we connect with the Guru is not by imitating the Guru or learning all the teachings by heart or traipsing around all over the planet after the Guru. Rather, it's being sensitive to the nature of the Guru and being awed by the Guru, having this great respect, this great humble appreciation of the teacher. In other words, what we call devotion. And so we are hardened. We naturally are skeptical with a lot of reason. And so we would want to, before we become, before we choose a guru, we need to be discerning and find out whether this is somebody who actually possesses all the qualities of the part of the that a guru must possess. So we need to be discerning about this. There's a lot of instructions about how to find identify a qualified teacher in Words of My Perfect Teacher, in the teaching of the torch lighting the way, and so forth. But once we have found a teacher like that, then we need to cultivate devotion. And we might think, oh, but I'm very devoted, but there's still room for improvement. So and definitely devotion, in that it is something that we should be careful about. It's not expected that we right away have that. If we have some karmic gift, we might feel devotion, but still it's something that we need to cultivate further and further. In the tradition, we have lots of examples of how great devotion manifests. There's stories about great teachers who would faint just they heard the name of their teacher, and so forth. And in general, we would say Guru Yoga cannot be practiced with dry eyes. We cannot really practice Guru Yoga without being deeply affected, deeply touched. The Guru has to be someone that is the key to all sanity, the key to us understanding reality. So, so we needn't feel discouraged if we're not devoted right away. That's taking into account. Nobody expects us to be devoted right from the start. So Khyentse Rinpoche says, devotion rarely comes spontaneously in the beginning. We have to generate and nurture it. For example, when we hear about the teacher and his life, we think about his marvelous enlightened qualities. Then when we meet him, we see that those qualities are authentic, and our confidence and faith grows stronger and stronger. So this is the fortune that you would have in a culture where there are enlightened persons, where we would hear about such persons, and moreover, with that openness and so forth, we meet the teacher, and if the teacher really is an authentic teacher, then it's not as if we have a problem. It's not as if, oh, I'd rather not meet the teacher because maybe I'll be disappointed. No, on the contrary, meeting the teacher, we then see that these qualities are beyond what we could ever have imagined. And that's where the faith grows stronger and stronger. So this is then where a Vajrayana situation can happen. Of course, this is not necessarily, it depends on our good karma and so forth, that we could meet such a teacher. And even if we meet such a teacher, we might not be able to see the qualities of the teacher sufficiently. So there's also an element that that we might meet a great teacher, but then again, we might not be able to perceive the qualities of the teacher right away. So that's where we need to then cultivate devotion, pure view, and so forth. But in the process, there will be then a situation of seeing more and more the qualities of the teacher. Again, we're talking about an enlightened teacher here. So nowadays, there's anybody who's read a book on Buddhism, do-it-yourself enlightenment, will call themselves Lama this or Guru that, and so forth. And they'll put up a website, or they'll flood Facebook with all sorts of Dzogchen instructions and so forth. And so, yeah, sure, there's a lot of people out there that, and you could say presently as in the nature of, you could say, Buddhism in transition from the original Buddhist cultures into the context of modernity, there's a lot of confusion, where you then have the sort of lack of quality control. And of course, in Buddhism, we don't have some sort of the board of the academy, the Buddhist academy that then asserts who gets to be a guru or not. It's entirely non-proprietary. But at the same time, it is possible. There are still great teachers. So we should just need to be a bit discerning. And certainly I get almost weekly mail or two about, I've just read on the internet that, this and that, and, all sorts of people without really connection to the lineage, propounding this, that, and the other in the names of Dzogchen or in the names of mindfulness and whatnot. So we have to be discerning. We will find a teacher. We aspire. And then when we do that, then our faith will increasingly grow as we discover, you could say, dimensions of enlightenment that we couldn't have imagined before. So then our prayers become more and more profound, and his blessings begin to penetrate us more deeply. So this is over the time that goes. This is the nature of the process. All accomplishments are due to the Guru's blessings. We are not referring here to minor accomplishments like obtaining good health, long life, or wealth, but to the supreme realizations of the Guru's enlightened nature, which is none other than our own Buddha nature. So our objective with the path here is enlightenment, and the Guru is the manifestation of our Buddha nature. And this realization that we're not looking at the Guru's, we're not interested in the superficial aspect of culture, but we're interested in gauging and being sensitive to the realization, the quality of the Guru's mind. So in this way we can understand how the Guru is key to the Vajrayana path. In the general Buddhist vehicle, yes, we gradually eliminate confusion, we gradually gain realization, and we are improving, but there's not really a sense of the already existing, spontaneously present quality of enlightenment. And this is where the Vajrayana, it starts from this place of, through the blessing of the Guru, to have some sense of the nature of realization. So this is why the The Guru's blessings are key to everything that we're doing. The blessing meaning that which penetrates our conceptual mind and touches us, reaching a place that's real, very illuminating, very authentic, feels like coming home. And from this place then we have some sense of what the path is about. The visualization. As an aid to generating devotion, the text contains the following verse. Before me in the sky, in an expanse of rainbow light, is my root teacher, Pema Tungchen Sao, surrounded by the ocean of knowledge holders of the three transmissions. So Pema Tungchen Sao is a name for Guru Rinpoche. Sometimes we would say Tungchen Sao refers to a particular yogic aspect of Guru Rinpoche, but that's only sometimes, and mostly Tungchen Sao refers to Guru Rinpoche just generally. So we visualize Guru Rinpoche in this case as we saw before. And the knowledge holders of the three transmissions refer to the Buddhas, and their transmission to the Sambhogakaya Buddhas, then the Sambhogakaya Buddhas' transmission to sublime beings, and then sublime beings' transmission to ordinary beings. So if you look in the histories, particularly the history of the Nyingma and so forth, then this is very much how the Nyingma tradition understands the transmission. And we can read about this in Masters of Miracles and Meditation, Garland of Rare Gems, and also other places, also in the Words of My Perfect Teacher, it speaks about this. The Guru is the union of all objects of refuge. The Guru is the embodiment of enlightenment. Visualize your root teacher in the form of Guru Rinpoche, referred to here by one of his many names, Pema Tungchen Sao. Alternatively, you may visualize him in the form of Vajradhara, or just as you usually see him. The main point is to visualize whoever inspires you in the strongest and most spontaneous devotion. So, we can visualize the teacher as we ordinarily see the teacher. The only thing is we need to realize that the teacher is not just, if we see if we visualize the teacher in the ordinary form, if this generates devotion, that's great. But at the same time, we shouldn't be stuck with this notion, oh yeah, he's so-and-so, he was born in this place, right now he's in there, he's traveling around the world. That's missing the point, and that is why it can be helpful to visualize the teachers of Vajradhara, Guru Rinpoche. So we understand that yes, there is a human that embodies this, but at the same time, the real teacher is not something just an ordinary person. It's that ordinary person is a reflection of our innermost Buddha nature. So this is what we're connecting with through the practice of devotion. So like Khyentse Rinpoche says, whichever form inspires in you the strongest and most spontaneous devotion. Imagine that the place where you are is no longer an ordinary place, but Guru Rinpoche's Buddha field, Sangdo Pari, which means the glorious copper-colored mountain. In the middle of this Buddha field, in which everything is made of jewels and precious substances, is the immeasurable palace of lotus light, made of pure light, transparent, and filled with rainbows. You yourself are not in your ordinary form, but that of Vajrayogini. She is standing in the center of the palace, upon a lotus, sun disk, and corpse. She is bright red, like a ruby, brilliant as the sun. She is peaceful and stands on her left leg in the dancing posture, with her right leg drawn up. She is wearing the silken jewel and bone ornaments of the Sambhogakaya deities. In the right hand, she holds a curved knife, which symbolizes cutting through ego clinging, and in her left, a skull cup filled with Amrita, the nectar of immortality. In the crook of her left arm, resting upon her shoulder, is the Katwanga, which represents Guru Rinpoche in hidden form. She is performing a graceful and peaceful dance. Her expression is deeply compassionate, and at the same time, she has a slightly wrathful smile, revealing her sharp canine teeth to symbolize her victory over delusion. While her form is that of Vajrayogini, her nature is that of the supreme consort, Yeshe Tsogyal, the queen of the ocean of wisdom. So Yeshe Tsogyal in Tibetan means queen of the ocean of wisdom. So this is us. We are Vajrayogini. And all the qualities that are mentioned here, these are all qualities that come with the practice of the path, with the elimination of confusion, with the confidence of the qualities of liberation. And so all these aspects of Vajrayogini that we're referring to here, they're innate to us. And as such, we meet Guru Rinpoche not in our ordinary confused form, but in our actual form divested of the ordinary confused projections, habitual patterns, and so forth. So this is an authentic situation where we're not conditioned by all the shifting moods and feelings, emotions, confusion, and experiences that we have given our ordinary karma. This is the nature which is beyond our karma. This is our innate Buddha nature, our pure, open quality in which there's the intelligence that appreciates the qualities of the teacher. So this creates a very heightened situation of immense openness, and this is legitimate, and this is Vajrayana practice. We can acknowledge that yes, we have definitely all the key and the causes of suffering, but at the same time, the nature, our primordial nature, is unobscured. It exists within ourselves in a perfect, spontaneously present condition, and as such, we visualize ourselves in this form. So we're not pretending to be something we're not. So in this way, this is the visualization of ourselves in the center of the again, also the environment seen without obscuration as the Buddha field of Saundapari. See if there's any questions. So, I know a long-term practitioner who has a strong faith in the Dharma but no longer trust in her previous guru. Can you say how to do Guru Yoga when one is transitioned to another guru or does not have one? Well, luckily we have an advice from Gampopa, which Khyentse Rinpoche often refers to, which if we don't have a teacher presently, then we simply just think of we just visualize, we think we are students of the Buddha, we think of the Guru as the Buddha, or also we can visualize or think of the Guru, Padmasambhava, as our Guru. So in this sense, we might have a moment where we're not quite sure where we're going in terms of having a guide, but at the same time also we still can recognize the value of the Buddhist teaching, and through aspiring to meet a teacher, it's completely legitimate for us to practice the Guru Yoga in the sense that our Buddha nature is uncontaminated, and we can just visualize then, as we're doing here, visualize Guru Rinpoche as the Buddha, and just consider ourselves that we are students of the Buddha, or we are students of Vajrayogini. And someone asks, I need to make sure I visualize myself as Vajrayogini for the whole Guru Yoga session, right? Yes. To practice ngöndro, we usually need to receive an empowerment. Not really. There are those who would say, yes, when you visualize deities and so on, you should have received a Vajrayana empowerment, but not necessarily. It's just the nature of our present situation is that some of us just don't have the opportunity, and while the general Vajrayana practices, such as the main practice, that does require empowerment. In the Guru, in the ngöndro, I would say it's good if we can receive it, but it's not a requirement. So that also applies for the ngöndro. One more thing about the, having, and this happens, we might connect with one teacher and then discover, this teacher is not quite for me. And that has always happened, and that's completely all right. But then what we do also is we wish the teacher all the very best. So that's also why some there's a bit of cultural protocol here. You never prostrate in front of the teacher, but when you leave, you prostrate to the teacher when you arrive. But if you prostrate to the teacher as you're leaving, it then means actually you're cutting the ties, and you're, at least this is what I was taught. This means that's not so good. You don't do that, but that is what you do if you leave a teacher. Then you prostrate, honoring what you have learned, and you wish the teacher everything good, and then you leave. And then there's no sense of damage. But to wish the teacher all the very best, if we think the teacher, he's, I thought he was an enlightened person, but now I'm not really seeing that, and then that's all right. Then we just wish that this person all the very best on their further journey. But anyway, it's complete. We can practice Guru Yoga then at any given time, whether we received empowerment, and also even if we don't have someone who is clearly our, you could say, karmically destined Guru right now. This then becomes the aspiration for that. And also we hear about the great masters of the past, and we probably would get some inspiration from reading about them or having some trust in the qualities of their realization and them as embodying then enlightenment. So in this way, we can visualize Guru Rinpoche surrounded by all these masters. Khyentse Rinpoche continues, above your head, in a mass of rainbow light, upon a throne supported by 8 fearless lions, on top of which are lotus, sun, and moon discs, is the lotus-born Guru as Pema Chöntsen. Visualize him very clearly, not made of gross material substance like a statue or flat like a tanka, but transparent, vivid, and clear. Remember, we're visualizing that which is intangible, our Buddha nature. We want to have some reference points because that is the nature of our mind. We operate with a mind that has what we call conceptual labeling. There's a dualistic setup in taking place in our mind. We see things dualistically. And so, yes, we can relate to our Buddha nature in a form. But at the same time, this what we are visualizing is that nature which is intangible. So this is not like something like a gross object. So, Guru Rinpoche, transparent, vivid, and clear, you should visualize even the most minute details, like the black and white of his eyes and the golden design upon the brocade of his robe. For all these different parts of the visualization, it may be helpful to refer to a painting or an image of Guru Rinpoche. So you can see here on the left, with the picture of Guru Rinpoche, see Guru Rinpoche's eyes. I think this is from a great Bhutanese Tanka painter called Ujjan Hlundrup. And I think he's passed away, but anyway, he made a lot of great tankas, and yes, very beautiful face actually, and has a little bit of that 8-year-old quality, slightly like a 8-year-old Punjabi boy, with a little bit of mustache already beginning to happen, and you can see then the details of the robes and so forth. So the thing about visualization is it shouldn't be a cause of frustration. It should be a cause of devotion. So when we're visualizing, it should be a place where, when Khyentse Rinpoche says you should visualize it like this and you should do this and that, yes, that's what we'd like to aspire to. And we could but we want to balance it. It's not like that is the objective. The objective is devotion. The visualization can be helpful for the devotion, but the devotion is the objective. So we shouldn't sit there and get caught up thinking, oh, I can't visualize and I should visualize. Or we get very complicated. There's somehow a slightly more relaxed relationship with this in the Tibetan presentation. And it seems that that accommodates a very sort of robust presentation, like you should visualize and make sure you get the details right, because nobody really sort of goes into nobody worries about this. But in the West, because of course this is all very new, or in the modern world, then there tends to be this sort of concern, like I can't visualize, and that's that's normal. But we actually needn't worry about the visualization. The visualization is not the primary objective. Primary objective is devotion, and the thing is that devotion can be helped by invoking the image of the teacher, and that is where the less vague it is, the better. So yes, we do have these instructions about the minute details, but at the same time, let's not get lost in terms of what's the objective. Guru Rinpoche is transparent, like a rainbow, but he is not merely a visual image, for he is permeated with the wisdom, compassion, and power of all the Buddhas of the 3 times and the 10 directions of space. So here also applies, this is our Buddha nature, replete with all the qualities of wisdom, compassion, and power. Guru Rinpoche himself has stated and promised, whoever meditates on me meditates on all the Sugatas. We also have this from like, for example, Buddha Shakyamuni, whoever thinks of me, I'm right there before them, in the Samadhi Raj Sutra. So this is also applies, of course, to our teacher. If ever we need the presence of the teacher, we just think of the teacher, and the teacher is there. Through Guru Rinpoche, we receive all the blessings of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. In particular, praying to Guru Rinpoche as being inseparable from our own root teacher is the surest way to receive boundless blessings. And again, when we are visualizing Guru Rinpoche, our teacher, all the qualities of enlightenment are not external. These are the abiding qualities that we possess innately beyond the veils of obscurations. And so when we are invoking Guru Rinpoche with devotion, then we receive blessings in the sense that with this devotion we become sensitive to these qualities. And so we might not believe that we possess the qualities of wisdom, compassion, and power. And so yes, then we can visualize thinking, Guru Rinpoche out there, he has it, I don't. But then again, we shouldn't get too pathetic, and that's also why we're visualizing ourselves as Vajrayogini. So in principle, takes the role of being the recipient of all of this, but of course the qualities of enlightenment have always been present. But to penetrate the existing confusion, there has to be this devotion that then allows for this thing where our ordinary confusion in the presence of the teacher falls away. And so with the devotion, then it's possible to receive this intangible quality of inspiration that takes place between the devoted teacher, devoted student, and the compassionate teacher, and that's then what we call blessings. Khyentse Rinpoche continues, simply by praying to our root teacher, we will gather the blessings of all the Buddhas, Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, Vajrapani, and so forth. And in the same way as a gutter collects all the rainwater that falls on the roof. So nothing's missing in invoking the teacher. The Guru himself is the sovereign of all mandalas, the Lord who embodies outwardly the 3 jewels, Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, inwardly the 3 roots, Guru, Hidam, and Dakini, and secretly the 3 kayas, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. Then there's a question. I so often feel that struggling to visualize or emulate forms and details of Guru Rinpoche I have seen in images somehow distracts me from my natural devotion. So with me, it seems not about the less vague, the better. What am I missing here? Thank you. No, that's like I was saying before. That is what happens to us who are not for where we get distracted. That's what we don't want. We don't want to get distracted by the visualization. But visualization at the same time is helpful in terms of us having a reference point that enables us to go out of our ordinary sense of the world around us and the ordinary place where we put our attention. So ordinarily our attention goes to all sorts of ordinary dualistic phenomena, and our experience of our world is likewise also dualistic phenomena. So for us to purify that, we visualize the enlightenment that is innate, and we begin this visualization with a recognition that this is the innate nature of reality. So the innate nature of our Buddha nature, or our being, is of course the innate core of our being is Buddha nature, but to have a tangible way of relating to that and to stimulate that, we use the modality, we use the practice of visualization, because our mind is going to be going for forms. It goes for objects, and so this replaces our ordinary dualistic grasping. Then, once we understand that visualizing the Guru is connecting with reality, it's seeing the pure aspect of reality, then with the devotion, we could try to begin to sort of just have some relationship to some of the attributes of the Guru. But the main thing is, of course, the devotion. So. But again, remember also with the devotion here, we're cultivating it. So it's whatever actually helps us to generate the devotion. So we read the lives of the teachers, or think of the teacher. We rejoice in the qualities of the teacher, and also, thinking in terms of these visualizations could well inspire some devotion. Purpose is to inspire devotion. Yeah. Of course, we have some, but we want to build it in a way. Speaking of which, then, Khyentse Rinpoche on the topic of devotion then says, Guru Rinpoche said, I am present in the form of anyone who has faith. Simply through the strength of our faith, the blessings and presence of Guru Rinpoche, of our Guru, and of all the Buddhas will be with us all the time. Devotion is therefore of fundamental importance. Again, that's what really matters, is this devotion that we carry with us. And whatever it is that does it, we find our own way. But at the same time, this is a place of this humility and awe and openness. It's a very intelligent, it's a very beautiful, it's a naturally compassionate, wise, strong space that we're invoking with this. So we carry the Guru with us. When you pray to Guru Rinpoche, visualizing him above your head, you should not think that as a result of your prayer, Guru Rinpoche will appear sometimes in the future and bless you. Think that because of your devotion, he is truly present right now with all his wisdom and compassion. Guru Rinpoche himself said, "Give me your heart and mind. I will always be near you. Even if you consider that he is inseparable from your root Guru, you will receive infinite waves of blessing." So we should recognize this. We should have this understanding from the start that this quality of Buddha nature is innate, and it's through this devotion that we unveil it. But the quality of Buddha nature has always been there, and so Guru Rinpoche is not. It's not as if something will happen in the future. I mean, we have stories about great masters who have visions of Guru Rinpoche, but it's not as if they then went, yes, now I had a vision. I had a vision of Guru Rinpoche. I mean, sometimes that will of course happen, but at the same time, that's not the point. That's just a manifestation, and the visions, they end, but the realization of the master does not end. So it's not like, you know, it's not as if. It's a bit like with George Harrison's "My Sweet Lord." Where he sings, "I really want to see you, Lord, but it takes so long." That's sometimes the sort of little bit sort of sad perception of bhakti, that it's going to come one day. It might descend on us and so forth. Not like that. There's actually a very sweet story about. I'm always telling this story, so some of you would have heard it before. But anyway, a great master called Trengpo Terchen, and he stayed in retreat, just supplicating Guru Rinpoche with the 7-line supplication. And that in itself is the practice. But it happened after 7 years then that Guru Rinpoche manifested in his vision. And what he said to Trengpo Terchen was, keep praying. And then the vision ended. So the vision itself is not the objective. It's the devotion. Of the many prayers that can be used as a support for our devotion, the one known as the 7-line prayer is the one we recite here. It is the prayer that the Dakinis used when they requested Guru Rinpoche to appear from the Dharma Dhatu, the absolute expanse, and manifest in this world for the sake of all beings. So you can read a very beautiful, there's a very beautiful teaching on this called the White Lotus. It's a teaching from Jamgyang Mipam, and it was translated by the Padmakara Translation Committee. It's published a few years ago, called The White Lotus by Jamgyang Mipam. And what Rinpoche mentions here is then the sort of circumstances about the 7-line prayer, its meaning, and so forth, is in that book. Yes, keep praying. Every sadhana of Guru Rinpoche includes this prayer, which was hidden by Guru Rinpoche himself as dharma, or spiritual treasure for the sake of future generations. It's said that just as a mother cannot help but respond when her child calls her, so too Guru Rinpoche will come from the glorious copper-colored mountain to anyone who chants the 7-line prayer. So it goes, Hung, born in the northwest land of Uddiyana, on the pollen bed of a lotus stem. Wondrously you attain supreme accomplishment. You are renowned as the lotus born, surrounded by retinues of many Dakinis. Emulating you, I will perfect myself. Come then, I pray, bestow your blessings. This is a very beautiful translation. We have quite a few translations of the 7-line supplication, and that's probably the only reason. Well, that's one reason why it can be quite helpful just to also know the Tibetan and know what it means. Because, gosh, with the amount of, it's like there's quite a few translations of this. They actually in the White Lotus commentary, they've actually made one that kind of rhymes. It's very nice. But this one's, I think, also very beautiful. Anyway, when we invoke Guru Rinpoche like this, we invoke this with Guru Rinpoche as a great sage, with an extraordinary circumstance of Guru Rinpoche's birth on a lotus stem. Now, the Tibetans themselves, they're the Buddhists in general, they speak about 4 kinds of birth. You can be born from moisture, you can be born from an egg, you can be born from a womb, and you can be born miraculously, like the gods and so forth. So it's said that here in this world, occasionally this spontaneous form of birth takes place. It's happened with a few. Aryadeva, I think, was one. And there's some stories in Buddhist history of various sages that were born like that. And Guru Rinpoche is one of them. And then we speak wondrously, you attain supreme accomplishment. So if we read Guru Rinpoche's life story, he's somebody who practiced the path, displayed accomplishment. He is surrounded by retinues of many dakinis. From the moment he was born, actually, he was surrounded by dakinis. And also he was born in a place that to this day is actually famous for their dakinis, which is the Swat Valley of Pakistan. If you go there, then the people there still talk about the dakinis. And emulating you, I will perfect myself. Come then, I pray, bestow your blessings. So this is, we wish to follow in the footsteps of Guru Rinpoche. So that's how we can understand this in terms of supplication on the outer level. But there's also an inner level, which we're talking about. And that's where we can understand the 7-line supplication on various levels. It can be understood in terms of the absolute truth, in terms of, or what we call certain truth, the nature of mind, the way that the Guru Rinpoche abides as the nature of mind, and these various features that are described are simply ways of understanding the nature of mind. We can also understand this in terms of yoga, in terms of the nadi, prana, and bindu, and so forth. So there's various ways that we can understand this. So you can look in the commentary; it's all in there. Then it says, your devotion must be such that your guru is always present in your mind. This is quite an important thing, really, for us who are practitioners. We have an extraordinary opportunity to have met someone that embodies enlightenment, and to keep this the guru with us at all times enables us to continually be in touch with this quality of all the qualities of enlightenment. So we continually operate with soaking ourselves with the presence of the guru. Khyentse Rinpoche says, whether you're happy or suffering, whether you encounter good things or bad, you will not rely on anything or anyone but him or her. If you find yourself in comfortable circumstances, you should realize that comfort and wealth have no essential reality. They have come to you simply as a blessing of your teacher. Now, these circumstances we might have tough life, we might have comfortable circumstances. That is going to be changing due to all sorts of, complexity, enormous complexity of, causes and conditions. There's no certainty whatsoever. We're going to have good times and bad times. If things are good, then we simply just think, oh, that's wonderful. We don't have attachment to it, but we just think, oh, that's the blessing of the teacher. That's the teacher's, you could say, kindness. And then also, Khyentse Rinpoche continues, offer them to the teacher as a mandala and use them to help other beings to further the teachings. So if we have good circumstances, we just offer it up. It can be beautiful place that we're living, happy circumstances, we're just offering it up. And if it's something we have means with which we can help others, that's good. With continual difficulties, suffering and illness, or when continual difficulties, suffering, illness, and slander befall you, be grateful that through the blessings of the Guru you're able to experience these sufferings now, when you have a means to purify them. See, we could very well experience all these sufferings in a different realm where we don't have the tools and the method to integrate this on the path to enlightenment. So that it happens now is fortunate. Khyentse Rinpoche says, you should think this is simply the consequence of my having harmed others in my past lives and having committed all sorts of negative actions. If I do not purify these actions now, my fate can only be rebirth in the lower realms in many future lives. So that's, we have undoubtedly, due to our confusion, perpetrated the causes of suffering, but sooner or later we have to experience these consequences. Through the kindness of my teacher, Rinpoche continues, I am now able to purify my karma. I pray that by experiencing this suffering, I may exhaust all similar sufferings that afflict other beings. So we can pray that through our suffering, might also that be something that purifies the suffering of others. So in this way also, it's, first of all, we're purifying our own karma, and also it has meaning in the sense of our connection to other sentient beings. We pray, may this be something that purifies the suffering of others. So do not let happiness make you proud. Do not let difficulties discourage you at all times. Keep your mind directed unwaveringly towards the Guru. Now I'd also like to say you join here a culture and a practice and that goes right back to the time of the Buddha and to particularly also I'm thinking of the great sages in India and so forth. This is how all the great masters attained accomplishment. So we're not, of course, within our own modernity, then this is not something that's that's that common, but we needn't make a display of it. Nobody knows what we're thinking. We can be in any circumstances and we can keep the mind directed towards the Guru. And if we look at the lives of gurus of the past and masters of the past, this is how they practiced. It's not that difficult. As far as the good and bad circumstances that we might encounter, that we can work with negative circumstances doesn't mean that we should develop some sort of aspiration or masochistic bent towards suffering. I don't think anybody actually does that, but very often you have this kind of objection. Does this mean that we should now, does this mean that we should seek out suffering and so forth? No, that's not the point. But it's more that we accept whatever comes and we have equanimity. Yes, things go well, that's very good. Offering it up, things not particularly pleasant, then may this purify my karma, may it purify the karma of others. Point is, we continually have this presence of the teacher. To think of nothing but the Guru means that when you walk, now here's some practical advice how to do this. You should visualize the Guru sitting above your right shoulder and walk as if you were respectfully circumambulating him or her. So there you're visualizing the teacher, and when you're doing a circumambulation, going clockwise, as the Buddhists they do, then the stupa is to your right, or whatever it is you're circumambulating. So you also can circumambulate your Guru. If ever you find yourself locked out, the Guru is teaching and nobody told you, and there you are heartbroken that nobody told you the teacher is teaching and you can't come in, it's sold out. You can always circumambulate the place where the teacher is teaching. It's like a holy location. So then we could do circumambulations there. But anyway, wherever we go, then we have the teacher on our right, on our shoulder. When you are seated, visualize the Guru above your head. When you eat, visualize the Guru in your throat and offer him the first and best part of your food. Just think the essence is going to the teacher. Don't get too literal. It's not as if you if you swallow, it's going to land on the head of the teacher also. Again, we shouldn't get caught up on the sort of being too literal. When you rest at night, visualize the Guru in the center of your heart, seated on a four-petaled red lotus and radiating light that fills the whole universe. I can't help but thinking of a good friend of mine who in retreat said when he was visualizing himself as a deity at night, it was really difficult because his deity was Vajrakilaya, and he just couldn't figure out how it worked with the wings. When he was lying down, so he was complaining he couldn't fall asleep because of the discomfort with the wings. Anyway, the the um, the practice at night, then the guru seated in the heart, radiating light that radiates out, fills the whole universe, purifies the entire universe, and then reabsorbs back into the teacher, and then the teacher also dissolving into light, and then just staying with just that reference point of light. Now this might actually, if you just do it lightly, and if you are focusing on this, it might initially sort of result in that you're sort of that you're staying awake a little bit. But if you're just aspiring to that you can unite with the teacher's mind, then without sort of being too caught up in the details of the light, then sleeping within that condition is then the way of integrating the wisdom of the teacher at night. Keeping the Guru always in mind in this way enables us to transform every event in our ordinary life into spiritual practice. When we think of nothing but him or her, even if we experience great sadness or mental unease, the simple fact of remembering the Guru completely clears away all these difficulties and fills our mind with confidence and joy. So there's some beautiful lines from Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. Whoever sees your body, ordinary perceptions stop. Whoever hears your speech, great bliss arises. And by merely remembering you, all fears fall away. As we call to you, precious Guru, look to us. Okay, I think we'll stop here today. Might you refer us to more names of gurus born spontaneously, or suggest where to look? Look, I'm going to put a piece up, okay, and remind me if I don't do this. I'm going to put a piece up that talks about Guru Rinpoche's example, his life, and so forth. The born from a lotus is definitely something that's going to be problematic for most of us, and so we're going to be looking at this as just an example that our reality goes outside of, or the reality goes beyond the way that we ordinarily think of it. And also there are actually Tibetans who would say, no, Guru Rinpoche was born as a child of a minister in the Swat Valley. So there's different takes on it, but more than anything, the implication of Guru Rinpoche's life, which is very different from that of the Buddha, implies that really also the nature of the Vajrayana path. So that's where we would want to understand Guru Rinpoche's example and his life story, his life style, as indicative of how Vajrayana operates. So I'll put that up. It's a text that's called Padmasambhava and Primordial Innocence. Yeah. Have you been to the Swat Valley? Yes. Are there any temples or monasteries there, despite it probably being now Muslim? Is it safe to go? I'm not sure it's safe to go. When I went there, it was, and actually, the women I spoke to who were traveling there. Actually, they had less hassles than the men. As long as you dress properly, then the Pakistanis are actually very respectful. Of course, there's some circumstances that have arisen where there have been dreadful things done to women, but in general, as a male, I was always being accosted because they wanted to talk with me, and they're very generous people. And so I would receive maybe like 10 dinner invitations during the time I traveled in Pakistan. But then again, every day, you know. But nowadays it's different, and actually the Swat Valley is I think it's occupied by the Taliban, or it was some time ago. So it's obviously not that safe these days. But yes, there are temples and monasteries in the Swat Valley, and particularly from the point of view of archaeology, it's an extraordinary place because all the Buddhist temples and monasteries, stupas and so on, they were buried. So that means they were preserved as they were back in that era. We can find them today. The Swat Valley is full of just treasures, archaeological treasures. My Wi-Fi cut out. I didn't hear the beautiful lines from Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo. You know what? It's in the Longchen Yingtik Ngöndro, in the Nalanda Translation Committee, and also in the other translation. It's the first 4 lines of a supplication called the Feast of Siddhi. Yeah, it's in there. One thing, in Welcome to the Ngondro, you mentioned a Dharma culture document, but I think it's not inside Ngondro. What is it exactly? I had some thoughts that we could have some sort of Dharma culture. I had some plans, and that actually has never eventuated. So I apologize. There is no such. It was one of these things that I thought would be good to do, which I haven't gotten around to do. Yeah. Thank you. Instead of the Swat Valley, what of the Kailash Mountain as a pilgrimage? Yes, very much. Kailash is a wonderful place to go to. So yeah, that's a great object of pilgrimage. Yeah, it's holy to the Buddhists and to the Hindus, and also to the Bonpos. So a very holy place to go. Yeah. Yes, maybe yeah. So the Swat Valley might be a bit problematic these days. Okay. Why is it so? Why is Kailash holy? Is it seen as Mount Meru? Yeah, it's seen as the center of the universe in the old Indian cosmology, and the Buddhists would subscribe to that. The Tantrikas, they see it as the abode of Chakrasambhara, and the Hindus see it as the abode of Lord Shiva. Considering the good things that happen to us being the result of Guru's blessing, how do you understand that in terms of cause and effect rather than something theistic? Yeah, no, it's not so much that. Well, actually, it is when good circumstances happen. It is due to causes and conditions. Yeah, so we understand there is a very non-theistic basis for that. Yeah, but at the same time, we could also have a sense of our sensitivity to the spontaneous perfection of things beginning to mature through the blessing of the teacher. We begin to see things that are there. This is not really denying cause and effect, but more we're sensitive to our perception of these phenomena. And so there's a presence of goodness. So that's what we call pure perception. We begin to have a more accurate and a greater sense of the quality of our reality. So that's where, from that perspective, then we also would see that, everything's manifesting easily, blissfully, and so forth. Just think, this is the Guru's blessing. So things still arise on the basis of causes and conditions, but it's more our attitude is just think, then we think this as the Guru's blessing. There's a lot of practice in Vajrayana that looks like theism, and we actually take the take theism as not as a path, but we use it as a vehicle to go beyond duality. So you could say we take theism as in a homeopathic dose, if you like, or we take theism as a vehicle, because there is a place inside where we attribute solidity to ourself and to phenomena and so forth. And so that solidity we actually bring onto the path in the form of deity, in the way of understanding the innate nature as which is the shunyata, the realization as such. We see that as the creator, as the God, as deity, as Buddha nature. So in this way, we are continually integrating this appreciation for everything that happens with this perspective of the presence of the teacher. Yeah. The Wish Fulfilling Feast of Cities is on the Lotsawa web too, if you want to mention. Yeah, thank you. So that's where these lines from Jamyang Khyentse Wangpo come. All right, I think we've gone over time. Actually, there's these days I'm going through a really great book by Elizabeth Mattis Namgyal, and it's called The Logic of Faith. And it's an extraordinarily clear presentation of how the Praticca Samutpada, which is the understanding of how the web of cause and effect, dependent arising, which actually enables us, understanding that enables us to see the conditioned and ultimately ungraspable nature of our reality. How that understanding of dependent arising and this openness of all phenomena becomes leads to an experience of what she calls grace. And again, this is not theistic, but an understanding of just the qualities of the universe. And again, this is what we're invoking here. And this is then how she brilliantly connects how this openness it leads us to appreciate an appreciation of the nature as it exists beyond our ordinary confusion, beyond our ordinary ego, and this leads to this experience of grace or awe. And this is what we are integrating here on the path of Guru Yoga. Okay. Thank you for joining, and shall see you next week.